My name is Claudio Bottoni. I'm head of engineering of Sarifiot. I didn't hear nothing about the end of life of this kind of material. What is the situation nowadays? What can we see in the future of this?
So I will answer because I think we have tomorrow at the same time a panel discussion about circularity in marine industry, and especially the best practice example of today. So I see also here in the audience some experts about recycling, thermosets, thermoplastics, using the new reprocessable resins and so on. So there are plenty of innovation. It's accelerating very fast in this sector. And I invite you to come tomorrow on that.
Sure.
And of course, to all of you, if you have more interest in knowing what composite solutions are offered to marine, I have only one place to invite you to come. It's JEC World. It's in March. It's in Paris, and every year, like the Met, every year we meet here and we meet in Paris, and there you have all composite solutions, including recycling. You will have a specific circularity village this year. And to close this session, because I think we just over time, I'll show you a glimpse of what is JEC World, and I invite you to join. And I would like to thank all our panelists, who of course will be at JEC World too. Thank you all.